Welcome back to the show. Today's guest is Senator Vince Polistina, Legislator, District 2. Senator, we want to get into a little bit some county issues right now. Not so much issues, but just happenings, what's going on. The airport. Talk to us a little bit about that, please.
Atlantic City International Airport is just absolutely huge for the future, Mike. You know, we talked a little bit about Atlantic City. We all know, some of the competition we saw in 2006 when gaming proliferated had a huge impact on Atlantic City. And now we know that New York gaming, depending on who you talk to, probably 3, 4, 5 years. So when New York gaming comes, the people driving down from New York are going to be less going to Atlantic City. We know that. And so how do we fill in, some of the gaps with the tourists? We have to do it through the Atlantic City International Airport. It's got to be developed to the point where we are bringing people in to visit Atlantic City through the airport. We did some bills to collaborate with CRDA, hopefully to get some transportation alternatives, from the airport over to the city. Because when we get into Vegas or something, it's just so much of a different experience, more fun. So we have to figure out transportation from the airport over to the city, but we also have to figure out how can we get more activity and more traffic into the airport. I think the way to do it, is the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. We've heard that talked about before, but they have the, they got the ability to come in and really bring some passenger air traffic from some of the traffic at Newark or some of the areas up there down to Atlantic City. And so I think that they have to be part of the conversation in partnership going forward, and we'll see how that plays out. But that's certainly something that we're going to look at, is trying to improve the activity at the airport.
They definitely have the wherewithal to be able to pull that off. Do you think as well, different airlines coming in? I mean, how would that work? I mean, we don't have the biggest airport in the area, but I think it's very convenient. I'm not going to lie to you, but you're right. We need more of that traffic. Would it be other airlines a possibility?
I hope, because the airport terminal itself isn't the biggest, but the runway can handle anything. And so I think when you think of some of the overflow at Newark, they could bring them down here. This is much easier to get to, much more convenient to fly through. And so I think you will have some people coming down to go through Atlantic City, even from some of the airlines at Newark. And so I think that is definitely, something we have to look at in the future. And I absolutely think we need additional airlines. One of the things I hear about all the time is funny, but public complaining about some of the times now of Spirit flights, because you remember down to Florida, they used to have 3 flights a day, and now it's been cut back. And so the flight coming home from Fort Lauderdale, for instance, is 6:45 in the morning, and I get complaints from people saying, how come we can't get Spirit to have more convenient times and more flights? So that's definitely something that we have to do as we move into the future.
We'll definitely be looking forward to that, and if it does happen. But you touched on something a couple minutes ago. I mean, to most folks, it would sound like an easy problem, trying to get people from the airport to Atlantic City, but it's not always as simple as it sounds.
It isn't, and the network around here doesn't really facilitate the ability to get from point A to point B very easily. So we have the old rail line, and some people have talked about some opportunities with the old rail line, but we're in a position now where the technology is changing so much. You have these unmanned aerial vehicles that are going to be part of the future, maybe 10 years or so, and the Aviation Research Park is doing some of the studying and some of the technology and some of the background on these. But you could literally take off from the airport, travel right over to Atlantic City and be able to land right over there, right in one of those vehicles, kind of a personal taxi, and that you could take right over. And
just like the old days back in the 80s, they used to just run people up into Atlantic City. You touched on the Aviation Research Park. Talk a little bit more about that, if you don't mind, please.
Yeah, again, another big thing that we need to do for the future here. And I mentioned my kids are 17 and 16. And so one of the reasons I got back into politics was because I wanted to, see more opportunities for everyone here, whether you go to college and you want to come back, or whether you want to be trained here to do a trade, whatever the case may be. We need more opportunities for people here in South Jersey. And so the aviation industry, is a burgeoning industry. Some of the things they're doing with new technology to lessen the amount of fuel that planes need to use to land is being done out there. Some of this new technology with the unmanned vehicles are being done there. But we have now gotten funding for the next building at the Aviation Research Park. They have one building up. You have people like the Air Force and NASA and the FAA in that building. I mean, these are major national players that we have in that building, and we have the funding in place, a commitment of $8 million already, and I believe the state's going to be coming in with another $10 million to build the second building. And fingers crossed, but I'm pretty confident that we're going to get groundbreaking for the next building at the Aviation Research Park. It'll be about a $16 or $18 million building, and I think they have it all rented already. So, it's one of these things, if we build it, we're going to have people there utilizing it, and that'll give opportunities for people that want to get in the aviation industry, be able to get educated or get training right here in South Jersey, and just give more opportunities for people.
And to piggyback on what you just mentioned there, Senator, just today on the radio show, I was talking about, our students. We're here at Stockton University. We're talking about Rowan, Atlantic Cape Community College, Rutgers University. We want our young men and women from the area get those degrees. I mean, of course, some of them want to move away and take them, but we want them to stay in our area, whether it be Atlantic County, Cape May County, and put those degrees to work, find a wife, find a husband, whatnot, and stay here. But it takes jobs, right? Different type, not just hospitality. Or we love our casinos and what they do out there and some of the hotels, but it's so important for these young men and women to take those degrees and stay in town.
Without question. And you said it. You want people to have an opportunity to start their families here, have a career here, and really have roots here. I mean, a lot of us are here because our families were here.
Right.
And we want the same opportunity for our kids to be able to do the same thing and have an opportunity here to be here, to work here, to live here, and really enjoy here. South Jersey is fabulous. We all know.
It is.
The beach and the boardwalk and the amenities we have here in South Jersey are just unlike anywhere else. And so, if we can create the economic diversity and we can create the jobs and the opportunities, we're going to see more and more people come into South Jersey.
And when you mention that too, I just see us both light up because it's the truth. I mean, we're Northeasterners, Jersey guys or whatever, complain a little bit, but you know what? Love it. We didn't go anywhere, did we? We stayed right here.
Yeah,
right. So can we touch on a little bit more with fixing the transportation around the Shore Mall? We're talking transportation.
Yeah, one of the other big projects we're working on, Mike, is the that situation with traffic around the Shore Mall where you have you can't make a left out of the mall, at the Shore Mall.
Right.
Shore Mall, you can't navigate to the shopping center where Bradley's used to be, where Foreman Mills is now. And so we're talking with the DOT and with Congressman Van Drew and the other entities about moving the light. So you'll have a full interchange between those two shopping areas. You'll be able to make a left in, you'll be able to make a left out and have movement between the two. And we also are going to hopefully have a direct access if you're going southbound on the Garden State Parkway right into those shopping centers. Because obviously we've seen over time, the retail sector has been impacted and some of those areas, are struggling a little bit. So we want to do direct access from the Parkway, fix the transportation around there so you can get to both of those shopping centers without having to go back on the Black Horse Pike, and then be able to make lefts in and lefts out. And so that's another big project we're working on with the DOT, try to get that done.
So as an engineer, you see that and you're like, well, who the heck did this and put this together? No, we'll leave that one alone. So, you see, what do you see for Atlantic County? I mean, the future looks bright. I hear county executive talking about it all the time, and he's done a great job. And you're now here, District 2, representing us in Trenton. What do you feel?
I feel good. I think diversifying the economy, investing in Atlantic City are going to be huge. I think that there are some key redevelopment opportunities we have here in South Jersey. The Shore Mall, kind of that area we just talked about, the Hamilton Mall with the track, obviously. That area is just ripe for redevelopment to figure out who could be the end operator. So you have Hamilton Mall, Shore Mall. You also have Bader Field, we talked about a little bit. You have Gardner's Basin. Hopefully, I would like to see some of the restrictions lifted on some of that area. So then if you can work regionally to kind of figure out all these major development projects you have potential here, try to make them complement one another so you're getting different things. I think that is really what we need to look for from a regional perspective. And Lauren Moore, Atlantic County Economic Alliance and some of the other entities are really looking at these issues. And I think if we can do that and again, work together,
right.
Future is very, very bright for South Jersey.
It's working together. Hey, folks, stick around. We'll be right back with more from Senator Vince Polistina.